Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Let's see. Today, what we're going to be working on is taking the Docker images that we've created for our WebAssembly component and then putting them on GHCR. So that's as far as we've gotten. The idea is we'll be able to put the Docker container image and the component, hopefully next week, on the same registry. And then we can either pull down the container image and run our application as we would a container, or we can figure out the pathway for just downloading the component itself and then running that in some type of different runtime environment. Yash, do you want to give any more context to that?
Yeah. I mean, what you said is accurate. So I have to admit, like right before this, I was doing two things. Like first of all, I was like trying to get WebAssembly publish, pull all those things with like OCI working. I didn't manage to get to work inside like 10 minutes, like scoff down lunch. So Josh and I were sitting here, me with a sandwich, like working it down. And like, we were like talking through like, hey, what are we going to do? And I was like mouthful, like trying to answer. But yeah, so for today, unfortunately, probably not yet the OCI, the native OCI workflows for Wasm components. But yeah, I'm keen to see how far we can get with the container part.
Would you be do you think it'd be useful, and would you be willing to show what you were working on, even though it doesn't work, like what it is that you were doing, and then like how it should have worked or how it might work soon? Would that be at all beneficial?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna send you a quick link, and then we can just look at the output of the thing, and then I don't know. There's commands being worked on that will make this all work. Hold on, the packages here. Hold on.
No problem.
I feel like your how do you say it? Your screen share setup is a little better than mine.
Oh, sure.
So I'm like, if you screen share, I'll send you links, and then you can share those.
Okay, let me pull that up.
It'll be easier.
Resize windows. Okay, let me present. I think it's this one. Okay. Does that look right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So what we're seeing here is the WebAssembly /WASI repo. And this is the packages tab. And what you're seeing here is the actual WASI specifications, all the types defined in WIT, the interface language, encoded as OCI. So what you can then do is, or like someone has managed to successfully encode this and publish it and put it up there. And now it exists. And now revisions can like go through, and we can like update these. But then on the fetching side, it's like if you're saying like, hey, I would like the code against, I don't know, the WASI HTTP interface. Now the interface exists as an OCI encoded artifact, and you should be able to pull that down and be like, okay, this is the actual like WASI interface. So you can start using OCI compliant registries as the actual like registry for the types, the actual types, but also implementations. So the definition here, it's just a type system definition. Basically, it's like, hey, here's the interface for HTTP. But you could imagine, I don't know, a URL shortener might be like, yeah, I'm a URL shortener. I require to be run in an HTTP WASI HTTP environment in order to work. So both of those are supported. And here's the first one showing of the actual like just the types, the definitions. Yeah.
Okay, so this shows that someone was able to package a component and put it on to the registry. Okay, and that's what you're trying to figure out, is to take our particular component that we've been working on, the WASI Clippy, and put that on here as an artifact. And I think the benefit here is, well, we've been kind of working around putting WebAssembly into an existing ecosystem, which is containers, which is Docker, and there's a bunch of different tooling. A lot of people already have the infrastructure to deploy those types of things, to deploy a container into production, where this particular thing, you need a different runtime on whatever your infrastructure is to be able to just spin it up. But the benefit here is when we're looking at the Docker container images, we were able to get the container image from 2 gigs down to I think like 100 and something. But that's still more than is necessary because I think our actual component WASI Clippy was 2 meg.
Two megabytes.
And
Yes.
then the runtime itself was Wasm time was
40.
40.
Yep.
So there's still a lot of reduction in size that we can have if we can figure out how to deploy the components without needing to wrap them in a container. So that's what
Definitely.
the whole avenue is. Just not quite there yet, but that's super helpful and interesting that they're going to be able to use the OCI. But for now, I guess what we can do is we can finish out the path of using container image, which would be,
Yes.
hey, we have our WASI Clippy container image. Let's put that onto GHCR so that way AKS could pull it down or Kubernetes could pull it down inside of a manifest, or we could use some other service, or we could actually just, you could actually pull down the container image and run it and not have to worry about any of the implementation details and not even worry about putting the runtime on your system.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we can
Yes.
start with today. So I'm going to be in the background for just a second, trying to create a new token.
Okay. Yeah. So another like fun thing that you and I were like talking about like off stream this week is sort of like I don't know if we've like really said this, but like the incremental as you're like doing this, I will tell people about this.
Please do.
But the incremental path to getting to like adopting components. So one thing that we were like talking about is like, hey, how were containers rolled out like back in the day? And Josh was on the upside of that, and people were like, hey, I'd like to like run a component or a container, and like, okay, cool, like got to set up a bunch of infrastructure in order to support that flow, and like, okay, great. And then Kubernetes came along and was like more setup, more things to do. And in contrast, like what we're trying to do here is essentially enable developers, like individual developers, to be like, hey, I would like to try components. They seem very useful. They seem lighter weight. They seem like they have all these like nice security properties, all of these good things. How can I do that without like involving my ops team immediately, like out of the gate? And so what we're doing here is allowing people to just package these things up as a regular container. Most ops teams probably, they have a way of deploying containers. They're pretty much industry standard right now. So as long as you can like take your component, put it inside of a container, you can then deploy that to Kubernetes, etc. Like start to really show of like, okay, this works. Like I can do this. I've got the flow dialed in, like things work. And eventually you can, once you've proven that that is viable, you can approach your ops team and be like, okay, can we please make this more efficient? Rather than 100 meg image, can we like just deploy these 2 megs? Rather than like doing, spinning, a VM inside of like a container, which itself may run again inside of a VM. Can we instead use something like SpinQ, which removes some of those layers? Like sort of going more towards that. But that becomes a question of like, here's a proven thing that we've already tried and tested. Let's make that more efficient, please. Rather than like, hey, I'd like to test something. Please set up infrastructure for me, because that tends to be a pretty hard sell.
It's a big ask. I mean, just looking back, this would have been 2015, 2016, when I was a tech lead for a DevOps team, and so we had a number of groups that were really interested in containers, and they were doing some great work refactoring the applications and containers, reducing the size and scalability and all that good stuff. But then the first attempt was, hey, can you give us a Linux VM in production with full access to this team? And we're like, sorry. I mean, I would love to, but I don't think that's going to get past, CAB or the security team. And then it kind of like evolved to like, okay, well, let's get, Rancher installed. And so it was just a big ask because the entire operations team outside of the DevOps team that I was working with, the sysadmin team, like it was primarily a Windows shop at the time, so they didn't even really have a lot of Linux experience or Ubuntu, like any Linux experience from that perspective. This is back in the days where we had like a Linux team and a Windows team, and then a network team, and then a storage team. And I'm sure some organizations still work like that. It's one way to go about it. But they just didn't have any context to that. And then you were throwing Kubernetes on top of that. So not only are you going to start with an entirely different operating system to administer, you're throwing on a new system, and then spinning all that. We did, but it took, it was like a 2-year journey to get the first containerized application into production.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I think the benefit here, I'd be really interested to see once we have some more customers and people using this with the
Mhm.
container route, like what are the actual, like, yes, it is better, but I'm really curious what quantitatively the difference would
Mm.
be performance wise from using the existing infrastructure deployment mechanism with containers versus, running it natively with a different runtime. There's got to be improvements,
Oh,
obviously,
yeah.
but I'm just curious what some of those numbers might be. So yeah, that's kind of the story there. Let's see if I'm able to get into GHCR. 1 second. Yes. Okay. Let me switch my screens and we can continue on.
I think we'll like once we like start being able to deploy this, we'll pretty quickly be able to see what the differences are, I think. Because like, already we can see like, hey, our component is 2 megs. The image itself is like 110 right now. It's like, oh, that's a pretty big difference. But like hard drive is, or like drives are basically free right now. Storage is kind of like free. Like 100 megs is not going to break the bank more than 2 megs,
Right.
really. Um, but then once we get to things like boot times, things like fast starts, things like actual overhead of the applications themselves, I think things may be very interesting. Maybe less so for Rust, but if you take, for example, Python or like other languages, I'm very curious. I'm actually quite optimistic.
We shall see. Let's see here. So I was able
Yes.
to. Sorry, I'm distracted by my commands
Mm-mm.
here. Um, it's been a minute since I've worked with. It's just the same. So what we need to do probably is retag um, namespace. Namespace is probably going to be my username. So I haven't worked a ton with GHCR, but I think you have the ability to your user namespace has a registry, and then you can also go down to per project. So probably what we have to do, if we look at our images, Docker images, we might need 2 images put up here. So just to recap for anybody tuning in that's new, we have 3 different Docker files. The first one is the Docker file Rust,
Mhm.
and this is essentially the build environment that we need for the component. So we need to have Rust and some different Rust components installed, the Wasm tools, and the WIT bindgen CLI. So now that we have it compiled, we don't need that, but we are going to need, if we look at our component, we're going to need, well, we might need both. Rust latest build. Well, for it to run, no, it shouldn't, because it'll be in here. We should just be able to put up our component instead of needing Wasm time because it's already compiled there. So let's start there and figure out if it'll work. So the idea, what we're trying to accomplish here is I built the WASI Clippy component, and now I want to put it as a Docker image on GHCR. So then Yash can go download it and then run it and not have to go through what we did the last, I think we're on 6. So last 5 streams that we did, which would be great. So let's see if we can't make that happen. So first, Docker images. We'll retag this as my registry name. I don't think I need to rebuild it. Image tag. And then the source is going to be WASI Clippy. Latest. And then I want the target name to be, let's see what the format needs to be. ghcr.io/Duffney, which will be my user's namespace. And then the image will be WASI Clippy. And we'll just have it as latest as well.
Okay.
Okay, Docker images. Okay, so now we should be able to push it. So Docker, and so previously I created a personal access token, and then I just used the Docker login command. So that's what I did to authenticate to the repo. Without that step, I wouldn't be able to push images to it, but that's what I did to authenticate. I just used the Docker CLI.
Oh, that's interesting. So I didn't realize you had to like tag the image name as the registry, or is that only when you don't use Docker Hub?
With anything really. So anytime you're going to go push an image, the name of the registry has to be in there.
And when you pull, it isn't in there, is it?
It is. Yep.
Wait. So when you do Docker images like locally, sorry, I'm fascinated by this because
we can go a little before. Let me rotate my access token because I'm pretty sure that's in my output.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
I see I see Alpine in this list and Debian, right?
Yep.
But those don't have like Docker Hub /Alpine/Debian.
Yes. That's because they're the official Docker Hub ones. So if you're not using Docker Hub, you're using some other registry. The registry name is telling it where that image exists.
Right.
By default, it assumes that it's on Docker Hub. Yeah.
So Docker Hub is special. It's like first class.
Yep.
I see. They've been clever about that.
Yep. Here, 1 second. How should I go about that? Let me remove this real quick and rotate this secret. Generate a new one. And there's got to be, if anybody in the chat knows the GitHub CLI for creating tokens, let me know, because that'd be helpful. Because I'm just using.
Like I've used that like maybe 10 years ago. I do not remember what it was.
So here. All right, almost there.
Trying to look it up. I have no idea.
I bet there is somewhere. I can find it later.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Nice. Okay, so now I can't shoot myself in the foot with my history. Let's go ahead to stage. So I've logged back in. Let's make sure that I can test this. So this should work now. Okay, so I'm logged in again. And now I want to do the push command. So Docker push, actually Docker images, so I can get the image name Docker. What I like is you get to use the same Docker commands. So if you're using like a the ACR Azure Container Registry, you can use the Azure CLI for it. But even the Azure CLI, when you authenticate, when you do ACR login or AZ ACR login, it'll actually populate your Docker credentials for you. And so you can still use the Docker commands and not need to use the Azure CLI ones. So that's a fun fact.
I see. That is nice.
Okay.
I do like that the OCI is like a specification where it's both a wire protocol and the storage format, I believe. Maybe there's like a third thing too, the actual like semantics of it. For Wasm components, I believe we're copying the wire format to like actually upload the things, and also the storage format, but not the operational semantics or like whatever that's called.
Let's see here. So now anybody, well, you might have to authenticate to the repo. Can I publish it as, I wonder, can you, just for fun, try to do a Docker poll for this? I'll send it to you here. I'll send it to you in our chat. Because I think I might have to publish it so it's public. I don't know if it's all public.
Docker poll for people in chat. You are invited to.
You are invited to test. Yeah, polling images.
So here's a fun error that I got. Actually, let's play a guessing game. Where do you think my command failed? It failed. Like I couldn't successfully do it. But guess what the?
Do you have any errors?
Yeah.
Authentication?
Nope.
Docker not installed?
Correct. Step one, install Docker. It's like, yeah, okay, I didn't do that. Sorry.
That's all right. Let's see here. So if I create I guess I could go to my other WSL instance and share that real quick.
So your repo is private on GitHub itself, which probably means that whatever you push to it is also
it's going to be private. Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder how we can make that public.
It's I believe settings and then general or something. It's
okay.
At the bottom there's a big red box so it says like warning. These are permanent changes, or these are like destructive changes, and then
public container image to GHCR. What would be a good alternative? I wonder if that makes the entire configure packages access and control visibility. Public packages allow anonymous access to pull. Okay, so that's what I would want to do. Package settings.
What are you looking at?
I'm trying to figure out if I have to make my entire registry public or if I can make this particular package public where it can do anonymous polls.
Oh.
So let me check out my GitHub.
And by registry, you mean, is that your username?
Yes. So my username that's where the registry is attached to that. Packages.
So the link I shared with you earlier,
okay,
for the Wasm OCI stuff, the WASI OCI stuff, sorry, more specific. The packages were published as WebAssembly/WASI. So the registry itself is scoped to the project,
yes,
not to the top level. So I think to answer your question, for like organizations in GitHub and users in GitHub are pretty much the same in that way, where if you publish to your repo, your top level one, like Daphne, is not public, but you will need to like make your project public first.
Gotcha. I wonder if I could use the repo that I created for the Wasm time packages and just publish it there temporarily as a package.
Yeah.
And then I could make that public or allow anonymous polls. So let's see here. Repositories. Make this bigger. And Docker Wasm time. So I don't have any packages quite yet. If I go into settings, it's been a long time since I've done that. Okay, let's see if I can't just push to this. Probably be Docker like that. An image doesn't exist. Oh, I need to tag it as such. Okay. So all I needed to do to push it there was just add the repository name here. So now let's see if I can find that package.
Okay.
Packages, publish your first package. I don't see it listed on the website yet.
Can you screen share the...
Yeah, 1 second. Share. General. Okay. Yep, that's the right one. So here we are. Go to the code. I would imagine it would show up here.
Yes.
But I wonder if there isn't some changes I need to make first to the repo.
So you're logged in, which means
Yep.
It should always work.
Is it in security?
No, like you should be able to see it. I don't think I assume publishing is failed somehow.
Let's check the docs. Let's
Okay.
see here. Managing, that's not it. Configuring package permissions. Docker push. That does push it. I didn't get any errors, so my access token should work too. Read, write, delete packages. Inherit access from the source. Let me just make sure that my token has permissions. I'm thinking that it does. Yep. So the token that I used to push does have the ability to write to even the project's packages. And I'm pretty sure Yeah, the name matches. Oh, maybe, /web clippy. That needs to be,
Docker Wasm time.
that should be the repo. That should work. Because the WASI clippy is the name of the package itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's keep reading the docs here. I have rewrite delete. I have pushed it. Replace namespace with the name of your personal account organization in which you want the image to be scoped to. Connecting a repository to a package. Your profile, packages. Namespace. I think something's wrong with the namespace.
What are you? Can you pull up your thingy again to see what you're using?
The terminal?
Yeah. Sorry. That's the word.
Thingy.
I promise I know what a terminal is.
So I think it's, yeah, something in here isn't quite mapping it to the right project.
No, that should be correct.
Publish container image. Repo packages. That looks right.
Mm-hmm.
Layer already exists. I wonder why it's not showing up in the GUI though.
If instead of latest, you just give it a version.
Sure. Oh, I need to take it as such locally.
Oh, okay.
There.
Okay. Yeah, it seems very happy about it. What?
Docker. About permission to GitHub packages. Yep. Package settings. Oh, okay. So it looks like search for it and then click the name of the package that you want to manage. Well, I don't see any packages. That's the problem. I see it on my oh, I see. Mm-hmm. So it's showing up under my packages for my profile.
Oh.
But it's not showing up on the project itself. So if I click here, package settings, add repository, Wasm time. Wait, am I showing? I'm probably showing the terminal still, aren't I? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me switch. So I think this will be helpful. Yeah. So what I did is I went to my profile.
Mm-hmm.
Package. I don't know if this is working, but this is how I got there. So if I go to packages for me, I can see all the packages for all my repos, and there's some old ones up here.
Oh.
So right here's this one, the Docker Wasm time.
Yeah.
And so I went into here and then I went to package settings.
Uh-huh.
And then I added Docker Wasm time as a repository.
Okay.
And then I think I can change the visibility and we can make it public. Docker Wasm time WASI Clippy.
Oh, little pet peeve. You used to be able in this like thing, you used to be able to just type the name of the package.
Now what do you gotta do?
Both the so it would always say like, you know, username or org name slash package name, and the shortcut was just type the package name, and like it's like yeah, you know what you're doing, and then they removed that. I'm so
Now I gotta
like,
put Shuffney or what?
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no, no,
okay.
no. Everything before the slash you could like omit as like a shortcut.
Read. Can download this package and read the metadata. So now if we go back to that repo, maybe it'll list now. There's my dot files if anybody's curious. Work in progress.
They are
but
public.
I did figure out how to get copy and paste to the system clipboard to work with tmux today.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that was
Nice.
That was a big productivity boost.
Do you have the mouse working with tmux yet?
Where you can like go up, scroll up and down and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
Good.
Well, still not seeing it here.
So the way I read what you just did is as give it access to do things with it. Where say you have a workflow, you can like name it and touch it and do stuff with it.
Yeah.
Not
so
publish
I need to
under.
add it. I wonder how
Maybe there's a transfer or something.
Add repository. Is there a transfer?
Nope.
There's add code space.
GHCR publish to repo. Let's see.
Regardless, I'm curious. I'll put this in the chat because it should be public now, at least even under my username. So should be able to use the Docker pull command. So I'll put that in chat for anybody that wants to test it out. Oh, you did it. Nice.
Weird.
So let me try this in my Windows or my other WSL instance.
Oh, fascinating. So when you put a message in chat, it's like
it pushes
like
it out. Yeah.
Yeah, from all of our accounts.
Just noticed that.
Yes.
I was wondering how you were so fast. It's like, oh, he copied the same link that I just did.
Yeah, I can read your mind.
Okay. Check this out. So we can still worry about the repo. Are you looking into how to get it underneath the repo? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, and so far I've got no clue. Wish I did.
Let's see here. Hopefully this is the right terminal. Okay, so I'm on a different WSL instance now than the one that we pushed the image to Docker Hub from. So I should be able to. I was able to pull it with the Docker pull command. And then, so if you look at my images, I now have Clippy.
Okay.
This might not work as intended because I think it shared with WSL, it shares the Docker across all the things. So it's not a true test, but Docker run -p. There we go, 8080. And then let's get that container name. Like that. Docker latest. Oh, it copied the pull command in there. Silly.
Oh, hey. Unable to find image locally. V1 hello is tacked on the end.
Oh, hello's on.
Yep. Or is it?
It should just be V1. I don't know where the hello came from. Ha.
That
Okay.
seems better.
So
Nice.
curl localhost 8080-D. Okay. So it does work. However, I don't think it's a true test because I think those images existed locally because my WSLs are sharing a Docker instance. So let's find another means to do that. I'm also curious. I still want to tinker with, I think this is the right tab, how I can get it to show up underneath the project itself.
Mm-hmm.
So publish your first package. Docker.
Yep.
It's available. It's not available to private. It's a public repository, so that's fine. Migrate to the container registry from Docker registry, working with the container registry. There's that OCI spec you're talking about.
Yep.
Authentication, we did that. This is exactly what I did here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm typing in the namespace incorrectly, but I don't know if
Hold
it
on.
tells me. Yeah, go ahead.
Replace namespace with the name of the personal account or organization to which you want the image to be scoped.
Yep.
Pushes to F5 version. Here's what I wonder. If you repeat the name twice, does it scope it under the package? Because if you think about it, there's like 3 layers of scoping. There's the name of the user or organization, the name of the repo, and then the name of the package.
Mm-hmm.
What you're providing is 2 out of 3. What we need to be providing is all 3, because each repo can contain different images with different names, and you're providing a tag. So I wonder if you do the name of the thing twice, if that's the right thing.
Okay.
So try another image, tag it Wasm Clippy /Wasm Clippy or something like that.
Okay. So okay, 1 second here. Let's see. I'll change screens in a second.
Yep.
Okay, let's see if this works. I think this is the right. Okay. Docker images. Docker image tag. We'll just start over. So what if we did ghcr.io/Duffney/ the repo's name, Docker Wasm time /
the name of the image.
The name of the image. So the name of the image is WASI Clippy.
And then tag
V1.
Yep.
Is that different than what we did?
Yep. Because we're repeating We're doing 3 layers of namespacing rather than just 2.
Okay. Docker push. And we'll just copy that. Okay, does that look right? So we've got the registry,
Yes.
the organization, the repository, the container name.
Yes. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay.
Switch screens. Because this is the packages. Still no dice.
Still no dice. If you change the tab back to packages, did you just publish something with a very weird like namespace?
So if we go back to packages,
Yeah.
it's still found it under here. So if we go, maybe there's multiple versions now. We have V1.
Huh.
19 minutes ago.
Wait.
It's definitely
No, but then
not the same thing.
Yeah.
That was 26 minutes ago. So I don't see that. Oh, it didn't change it. So it's this one, but because the underlying container image didn't actually change. But the SHA should be the same. If we look at this, this digest should be the same.
If you delete this, go to package settings, hit delete.
Okay.
And then try to push again.
Okay.
And then it should just like show up here, right?
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
A minute ago. Okay.
But why?
Pick the repository that can access this package using GitHub Actions. That's not, I want to move it underneath that. Maybe, well, you obviously can because they're listed underneath. Do you have to do it from a workflow then? I wonder if that's...
Maybe there's a difference between organizations and individual users. Where they're like, okay, an org gets to do that, but people do not get to do that. Which
people just get to have another repo.
Maybe.
Okay.
Like I'm just like A/B comparing the differences like in my mind, like what is different here between this and that, and like I don't know.
Let's keep tinkering.
If anyone has any idea, like, please feel free to chime in. We're like, okay, yeah, let's go use GHCR rather than Docker Hub, and we're both like, okay, how does this work?
I'm way more familiar with ACR.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately. But you get to learn something new.
Yeah, that makes sense.
/repo. From everything I'm reading, we're doing the right steps. We're naming it correctly, where it's ghcr.io owner/repo/image name. So ghcr owner repository name, image name, and version. Here we go. Safely publish packages and store them alongside your code. You can share packages privately with your team.
On my side, I'm trying to log into ORS to see whether that might change anything.
Okay.
Like, it could also be spitballing here. It could be an artifact of like the Docker command potentially, where it does something very specific with the way it namespaces things. Though I doubt it.
No, I think this is probably GitHub something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, can you, I think I've made it public, even though it's not in the right place, it's not visible from the repository. You can still pull it down. So can you run it? And if not, maybe I can spin up a new VM or something. Try it that way.
I'm trying to get my ORAS command to work, but
I know what I can do.
It does not.
Do I have the right window open? Okay. I will create a code space. I should be able to pull it.
Okay.
Because I think code space comes with Docker installed. And this is just a test to make sure that I can pull it down and run it in the image. I think it comes with Docker and Docker. Yes. Okay. So where's my packages? Make sure that it's public. Currently public. Okay. Allow. And that's probably super tiny. There we go.
Okay.
Ah.
All right, I'm going to give up on this side. I don't know how to get ORAS to work. That is okay.
Yeah, ORAS. It might share your Docker credentials, but since it's public, it should just, well, you should just be able to use, Well, you don't have Docker installed. That's the problem on your
I
side, isn't it?
don't.
Yeah.
So I tried to do a direct login to GHCR, but it was like, nah.
Nah, you need some other tool. Okay, so Docker run -p80. Here are Docker images. Docker run -p80. Did I name it? Yeah, v1. Check this out. Open in browser. It's probably not going to work. Curl localhost. This just kind of blows my mind. If you take a step back and think about what's going on here with code spaces and running Docker and Docker, and then this might, here, let's see here, code space. Ha! So that proves it. There's nothing else on this code space other than, the Docker and Docker. So this doesn't have any of my previous images, doesn't have any of my WSL shenanigans or Windows stuff bleeding in. And we were able to get it to completely run normally from the container image. So our component can now be deployed like it would any other container. And we just need to have whatever our runtime for the container is, do the mappings of the ports. That's pretty sweet. So this, I could take this, install Docker on a Azure VM or something like that anywhere. We could put this image into a Kubernetes manifest and then export the ports. Or expose the ports, and it would run our component just fine.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So let's see here, Docker images. It's 118 meg, but
perfect. 40 of that is Wasm time, 2 of that is our component itself, and a little bit of operating system. That's fine. That's great.
There's no PowerShell. I do all my math stuff in like time because I know those commands. I don't know the bash commands for those.
Well, if you say out loud what you need, I might know
it. Just translate. I was just going to do the simple arithmetic of what's left. So if you take 40 and 2 and then minus that, I should be able to do it mentally. Just like how much is left. That's the actual container and not the runtime.
I think you can just type it in. It'll like evaluate it, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, minus 40.
Minus try that. Oh,
that's what I can do in PowerShell. I don't know maybe echo, and then I don't know how it does the operators.
Oh no, there's like brackets or something like that. It's been too long. I don't remember.
Well, that might be a good place to stop, where we can try to figure out how to get it under the project offline, because I'm baffled. I think we're doing everything right. Maybe it does need to be in the workflow, or there's some kind of different tagging. But at any rate, we were able to get the packet. Oh, it does actually respond. Just open the browser.
Oh, that's really fun.
If we go into our packages, we're able to upload it to GHCR. So you could upload it the same way to Docker Hub or to whatever your internal registry is. And you can pull it down. So it does absolutely work inside a container.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully next week we could figure out how to put the component alone here. So you could pull just the component down, that 2 meg component, and then run it, assuming where you're pulling it to has a runtime, has Wasm time or something.
It should not be that hard, honestly, because I think if we do, okay, so let's talk through what's needed here, and we'll do that like next time. But what we need to do is we need to build a component, which we're doing. We have that. Then we need to, and here's the difficult step, encode the component as OCI. There's a defined mapping, like a specification, basically, for like, hey, here's how you take the component. Here's how you output like a correct OCI encoding for this. That code exists. That code has been written. There's a library for it. Ostensibly, there's a CLI tool for it. So you have that. And then using any OCI compatible, like wire protocol compatible like thing, such as ORAS, you can take that OCI image now, which is just the valid OCI image now. You can upload that to the registry, but also fetch it, the inverse, like pull it down from the registry. And then again, take the OCI image, re-encode that back to a component, which, if you can encode it, the decoding is not that much harder. It's just like running it in reverse. That code also has been written, I believe. And then now you can run that component. So even if the end-to-end tooling for this has not been finished, we should be able to string something together that shows us uploading an actual component, storing it there, pulling it down, executing it. And then sort of week over week, we expect this tooling to like sort of keep improving, become part of the tool chain to the point where your cargo component command should have the ability to like package it up and publish it to JCR or Docker Hub or anywhere you want.
Okay. Do you imagine with other languages will then build that into their tooling instead of, so like with containers, you obviously have ORAS. So if people aren't familiar, ORAS is a tool that I've used. It can do a number of things. It can actually get more finer details from the OCI artifacts with fetching it, but I've used it a lot with signatures.
Nice.
And like, or just appending different data, metadata into your OCI image index or manifests. Whereas like the Docker command is assuming a very specific format for a container image. But as we know, that you can put more than just container images on the OCI registries, which is why we're putting it there. So that tool is useful for that. And so, yeah, if we could just get a format, we could use that tool as just a shim to be able to put it there until it's built into the build tools itself. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
All right. Let's do that next week.
All right, we'll do that next week. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Next week, Monday, we will start tinkering with trying to get a component published up to the registry instead of the container image. So yeah, if you're interested in that, join that live stream. All right. Thank you all for watching. Later, Yash.
Bye.